Have you ever noticed that the heaviest kind of emptiness often comes right after you finally get exactly what you wanted? Most people do not realize this until they experience it. We are taught that achieving the goal, reaching the summit, or finally securing the prize will bring lasting peace. But sometimes life hands us our deepest desires, and instead of feeling full, we feel deeply, confusingly hollow. If you have ever felt exhausted by your own success, disconnected from the life you worked so hard to build, or anxious because you do not know what comes next, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this emptiness forever. 1. The paradox of the mountaintop. What if the harder you climb, the further away from yourself you become? Here is the truth few people want to face. Success does not cure the soul. Often, it only highlights what is missing. Think about your own life. You spend years working toward a vision. You sacrifice your rest, your peace, and your quiet moments. You build the career, secure the status, earn the respect, and collect the quiet nods of approval from everyone around you. You look at your life on paper, and it is perfect. You are successful. You have arrived. But when the applause fades, the notifications stop, and you are finally alone in a quiet room, a strange, creeping dread settles in. You ask yourself, is this it? Is this all there is? You feel guilty for not being happier. You feel lost because the chase gave you a purpose, and without the chase, you no longer know who you are. The very success you sought has become a heavy garment you do not know how to take off. Buddhist wisdom teaches us a profound truth about this exact feeling. It is the nature of attachment. We attach our entire identity to the pursuit. We secretly believe that external achievements will somehow permanently alter our internal landscape. But Buddhism reminds us of the reality of impermanence. No state of being, not even the most thrilling victory, is meant to last forever. When we cling to the idea that success will bring permanent fulfillment, we set ourselves up for profound suffering. We mistake the external validation for internal worth. Imagine a climber who spends a lifetime scaling the highest, most dangerous mountain peak. Every muscle aches, every breath is a struggle, but the vision of the summit keeps them moving. Finally, they pull themselves up over the final ledge. They stand at the top of the world, but the air is thin. The wind is brutally cold. There is nothing left to hold onto and nowhere else to climb. They realize, suddenly, that they cannot live on the peak. The peak is a place to visit, not a place to build a home. In our modern world, we are constantly pressured to build our homes on the peak. We are expected to maintain the high of accomplishment indefinitely. We let the expectations of our family, our peers, and a society obsessed with status dictate the altitude of our lives. We confuse the pressure to be seen as successful with our own deep, quiet desire to simply be content. Ask yourself, what are you still holding on to? Are you clinging to a past victory, terrified that you will never feel that important again? Or are you afraid to admit that your success was never really what your soul wanted in the first place? Is this feeling of emptiness a failure, or is it a hidden message? Pause, breathe, observe the thought without following it. Let the feeling of emptiness rise without making it your identity. You are allowed to feel lost, even when everyone else thinks you have won. Do not run from the silence that follows your success, because true peace is not something you achieve. It is something you make space for when you stop trying to conquer your own life. But realizing that the summit cannot hold you is only the first step. And this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of the finish line. What if the finish line you have been running toward is just a mirage? Here is the truth. We spend our entire lives racing toward a destination that does not actually exist. Think about how you live day to day. You set a goal. You work tirelessly, sacrificing sleep, peace, and connection, believing that once you cross that invisible line, everything will finally make sense. You get the promotion. You build the business. You secure the milestone that everyone said would make you happy. For a brief, fleeting moment, you feel a rush of relief. But almost immediately, the feeling begins to fade. The emptiness returns, quieter but heavier. So what do? You set another goal. You start running again. You are trapped in a cycle of constantly arriving and immediately departing. You feel exhausted because you are treating your entire life as a waiting room for the next big event. In Buddhist thought, this restless chasing is deeply understood. It is the root of our dissatisfaction. We are taught that suffering arises when we reject the present moment in favor of an imagined future. We treat the now as a mere stepping stone, an obstacle in the way of where we truly want to be. But Buddhism reminds us that the future is an illusion. When the future finally arrives, it is only ever experienced as the present moment. By constantly living for the finish line, we miss the only reality that actually exists. Imagine a river flowing toward the ocean. Now imagine a traveler in a small wooden boat, furiously rowing downstream. The traveler never looks at the ancient trees on the riverbank. They never feel the warmth of the sun on their face. They never listen to the quiet sound of the water against the wood. Their eyes are locked only on the horizon, desperate to reach the ocean. When they finally arrive at the vast open sea, the journey is over, and they realize, with a heavy heart, that they never actually experienced the river at all. In our modern lives, we are just like that traveler. We are pressured by everything around us to constantly prove we are moving forward. We feel the weight of family expectations, the silent judgment of peers, and the endless comparison of social media. If we are not upgrading our lives, we fear we are falling behind. So we row furiously. We forget how to sit still. We confuse the exhaustion of motion with the meaning of life. Think about your own life. Are you actually living, or are you just preparing to live someday? What are you afraid will happen if you simply lay down the oars and let the current carry you for a while? Is this constant striving bringing you peace, or is it feeding your fear of not being enough? Pause. Breathe. Stop trying to rush to the next chapter. Let yourself arrive right here, in this exact moment, without needing to fix, solve, or improve it. You do not need to earn your right to exist, because the emptiness you feel is not a lack of achievement. It is a lack of presence. It is your own heart asking you to finally stop running. But standing still requires you to look at the heavy things you have been carrying all along. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. The weight of your own trophies. What if the very things you built to elevate yourself are the things dragging you under? Here is a quiet truth that few people recognize. Sometimes, the heaviest burdens we carry are not our failures. They are the things we fought the hardest to earn. Think about how much energy it takes to maintain an image. You worked tirelessly to become the person everyone admires. You secured the title, the reputation, the lifestyle. You became the strong one, the successful one, the one who always has it together. But now, you are trapped by it. You have to keep proving you still deserve it. The fear of losing what you built makes you rigid, anxious, and perfectly polished. You cannot make a mistake. You cannot change your mind. You cannot admit that you are deeply tired, because what would people think? You are holding on to a version of yourself that no longer fits, simply because it is decorated with praise. Buddhist wisdom teaches us about the danger of the constructed self. When we attach our deepest identity to external things, our wealth, our status, our accolades, we forget our true, formless nature. Buddhism reminds us that the self we build out of worldly achievements is incredibly fragile. The tighter we hold on to this crafted image, the more we suffer when the winds of change blow. Clinging to past victories is just as painful as clinging to past regrets. Both keep us anchored to something that is already gone. Imagine a traveler crossing a vast desert who finds a beautiful, solid gold stone. Thrilled, they place it in their pack. Soon they find another and another. Before long, their bag is overflowing with priceless treasure, but the weight is crushing. Their shoulders ache, their breath is ragged, and they can no longer look up at the beautiful open sky. They are entirely consumed by the effort of carrying their wealth. They are terrified of losing it, terrified of dropping a single piece. They refuse to set the bag down, even though it is breaking their back, because they have confused the heavy stones with their own worth. We do exactly this in our daily lives. You build a reality that looks stunning from the outside, but feels like a locked door on the inside. You stay in the high-stress career just for the prestige. You maintain exhausting social circles because you fear becoming invisible. You fear a change of direction because it might look like a failure to those watching you. You are terrified of the empty space, so you keep collecting more responsibilities, more achievements, more heavy goldstones. You have become a prisoner to the expectations that your own success created. Ask yourself, look closely at your life right now. What are you still carrying out of obligation rather than joy? If no one was watching, if there was no one left to impress, would you still choose this heavy path? Are these trophies bringing you peace, or are they simply feeding your fear of being ordinary? Pause, breathe. You do not have to destroy your life to find peace, but you must learn to set the heavy bag down. Loosen your grip on who you think you are supposed to be. Let the identity soften, because you are not your titles. You are the quiet awareness underneath them. But shedding the weight of the world's expectations means learning to hear your own voice again, through all the noise. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The noise of the crowd versus the voice of the soul. What if the voice you have been following your entire life does not actually belong to you? Here is a truth that is terrifying to admit. Most of what we desire was handed to us by someone else. Think about the path that led you to this exact moment. You made choices, you pursued degrees, accepted jobs, and built relationships. But how many of those choices were born from a deep, quiet knowing inside of you? And how many were simply the loud demands of the world? We spend decades performing for an audience we did not choose. We internalize the expectations of our parents, the subtle judgments of our peers, and the loud, endless demands of society. Over time, the noise of the crowd becomes so familiar that we mistake it for our own inner voice. We chase a version of success that was written by someone else, and when we finally achieve it, we wonder why the victory feels so completely hollow. We confuse the applause of the crowd with the peace of the soul. In Buddhist thought, this confusion is a source of deep suffering. It is the result of letting our awareness become entirely entangled with the external world. Buddhism teaches us that beneath the chaotic surface of our minds, beneath the cravings, the opinions, and the conditioning of society, there is a quiet, undisturbed, true nature. But when we constantly seek external validation, we lose touch with this inner stillness. We become deafened by the noise of the world. We are driven by the ego's desperate need to be seen, rather than the soul's simple desire to be. Imagine a deep, ancient well with waters that are perfectly clear. When the water is still, you can look down and see the absolute truth of the depths below. But imagine that a crowd of people surrounds the well, constantly throwing stones into the water. Every stone is an expectation, an opinion, a standard you are supposed to meet. The surface of the water becomes a chaotic mess of ripples and crashing waves. As long as the stones keep falling, the water can never settle. You stare into the well, trying to find yourself, but all you can see is the distortion caused by the world's interference. In your modern life, you are constantly letting the world throw stones into your well. You scroll through endless feeds, comparing your reality to the curated success of strangers. You listen to the panic of family members who want you to follow a safe, predictable path. You absorb the pressure of a culture that tells you your worth is tied entirely to your productivity. You are carrying the heavy burden of everyone else's definitions of success, terrified that if you do not meet them, you will be rejected. You have forgotten how to guard the stillness of your own water. Ask yourself, think about the next goal you are desperately trying to reach. Who is it for? If you knew, with absolute certainty, that no one would ever praise you for it, would you still want it? Are you listening to the quiet truth of your own heart? Or are you just trying to quiet the loud demands of the crowd? Pause, breathe, stop trying to answer to the noise. Let the expectations fall away, even just for a moment, and observe the silence that remains. Because peace is not found by winning the approval of the world. It is found by remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. But finding that original voice requires making space for the empty, quiet moments you have been trying so hard to avoid. And this is where the next truth begins. What if the emptiness you are trying so desperately to escape is the very thing you need to heal? Here is the truth we constantly run from. We are terrified of empty spaces. Think about what happens the moment a massive chapter of your life closes. The big project is finished. The milestone is reached, the daily struggle is gone, and suddenly a heavy, thick silence takes its place. Instantly, you panic. You view this emptiness as a flaw, a dangerous void that must be fixed. So, you rush to fill it. You pack your schedule, you scroll endlessly through screens, you take on new burdens, and you chase new, exhausting goals. You treat the quiet as an enemy. You believe that if you are not full of movement, ambition, and noise, you are somehow disappearing. You have become so used to the heavy weight of success that feeling light feels entirely wrong. In Buddhist thought, this fear of emptiness is a deep misunderstanding of our true nature. Buddhism teaches us that emptiness is not a terrifying black hole, it is actually a profound, beautiful spaciousness. When we strip away our rigid identities, our endless desires, and our stressful attachments, what remains is not nothingness, but limitless potential. The suffering does not come from the emptiness itself. It comes from our desperate, panicked attempts to cram that space full of new attachments. We suffer because we refuse to let the space just be a space. Imagine a dense, ancient forest. For years, the trees have grown so thick and crowded that not a single ray of sunlight can reach the earth below. The ground is dark, cold, and entirely stagnant. Then, a great, fierce wind sweeps through, clearing a massive space in the center of the woods. At first, the clearing feels barren and brutally exposed. The old, familiar trees are gone. But because the space is now empty, the warm sunlight finally touches the soil, and seeds that had been waiting in the dark for decades finally have the room to breathe and grow. The empty clearing was never a void. It was an invitation for new life. In your own life, you are constantly fighting the clearing. When a period of intense focus or long-sought success comes to an end, life is handing you a clearing. But the sudden open space feels unnatural. Instead of letting the light reach your soil, you immediately plant weeds, just to avoid looking at the bare earth. You rush into new commitments, you take on the stress of other people, and you manufacture urgency out of thin air. You confuse the necessary quiet rest of the soul with a permanent defeat. You are simply afraid to meet yourself in the silence. Ask yourself, what are you rushing to fill right now? Why does the feeling of having nothing to conquer terrify you so much? Is your next ambition truly what you want, or is it just a loud noise you are making to avoid sitting alone with yourself? Pause, breathe, sit with the open space. Let the quiet exist without rushing to decorate it with new worries. Do not force a new path before it is time, because emptiness is not your enemy. It is the open sky where your truest self is waiting to emerge. But to recognize what truly belongs in that space, you must first learn the difference between what your soul requires and what your ego is simply addicted to. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. Disentangling true calling from false craving. What if the thing you are desperately hungry for is not actually food for the soul? Here is a difficult truth. We rarely know the difference between a genuine calling and a desperate craving. Think about the restless energy that hits you when the dust of a major success finally settles. You feel an urgent, almost painful pull to do something. You start looking for the next high. You want a bigger challenge, a louder title, a more demanding project. You mistake this restless itch for ambition. But this is not ambition. It is an addiction to the chase. After a long period of high achievement, we become addicted to the adrenaline of the win. When that is gone, we manufacture urgency just to feel alive. You want the world to look at you and confirm that you still matter, because you do not know how to confirm it for yourself in the quiet moments. You are confusing a deep, quiet desire for purpose with a loud, frantic pressure to perform. In Buddhist thought, there is a profound distinction between pure intention and endless craving. Craving is deeply rooted in a sense of lack. It is the ego's frantic attempt to acquire things, status, attention, control, in a doomed effort to feel whole. It is a fire that can never be satisfied, no matter how much fuel you throw into it. Pure intention, however, arises from stillness. It does not chase out of fear or the need to prove anything. Buddhism teaches us that as long as we are driven by craving, we will remain trapped in a cycle of temporary highs and crushing lows. We will always be hungry. Imagine a traveler lost at sea in a small boat. The sun is beating down, and they are desperately thirsty. In their panic, they lean over the side of the boat and drink the salt water. For one split second, the cool liquid feels like relief, but almost immediately, the salt burns their throat. The thirst becomes even more intense, more violent. They drink again, and the cycle worsens. They are surrounded by water, yet they are dying of thirst, because they are drinking something that is biologically designed to drain them. We do this every single day. You feel a quiet loneliness after your success fades, so you drink the salt water of social media validation. You feel a lack of direction, so you drink the salt water of a new, high-stress job just to look busy. You chase the prestige, the money, or the envy of your peers, hoping it will finally quench the deep thirst inside you. You buy things you do not need, and you accept responsibilities that steal your weekends, all because you fear that slowing down means you are failing. But it only makes you more hollow. You are drinking the world's pressure and calling it your own desire. Ask yourself, this new goal you are suddenly obsessing over, is it fresh water or is it salt water? Is it coming from a deep, calm place of genuine joy, or is it coming from a desperate need to avoid feeling ordinary? Are you moving towards something you love, or running away from a silence you fear? Pause, breathe. Stop trying to quench your thirst with things that only make you emptier. Observe the craving without immediately feeding it. Let the panic of needing to do something rise and fall without taking action. Because a true calling does not make you frantic, it makes you grounded. It does not demand that you constantly prove your worth to the world. But stepping away from the endless cycle of craving requires something very difficult. It requires the willingness to let others misunderstand you. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. The quiet courage to disappoint others. What if the price of your own peace is someone else's disappointment? Here is the truth we rarely admit. We often choose our own suffering simply to keep other people comfortable. Think about the heavy burden of the life you have built. You achieved the success, you played the part, and now everyone has an idea of who you are supposed to be. They expect you to keep climbing, to keep earning, and to remain the strong, reliable pillar of their world. When you finally realize that, the path you are on is making you hollow, you want to stop, you want to step down, or walk away, or simply rest. But then the guilt sets in. You imagine the confused looks of your peers, the subtle disappointment of your family, the whispered judgments of society. You realize that choosing a quieter, truer life means letting down the people who applauded your busy, successful life. So, you stay. You abandon your own soul, just to keep the peace in the room. In Buddhist teachings, this is a form of deep suffering born from attachment to the opinions of the world. We mistakenly believe that our worth is measured by how well we fulfill the expectations of others. But true compassion must always begin with yourself. You cannot pour pure water from a poisoned well. Buddhism reminds us that the ego is desperate for universal approval, but to awaken to your true nature, you must let go of the desire to be praised by everyone. You must accept that you have no control over how others perceive your journey. Imagine a majestic, ancient tree at the end of a long, fruitful summer. It is covered in brilliant, heavy leaves. The world admires its immense, beautiful canopy, but as autumn approaches, the tree knows the cold winter is coming. To survive, to draw its energy back down into its deep roots, it must let go of the beautiful leaves. The leaves fall, and the tree stands bare and exposed. To the outside observer, the tree might look broken, smaller, or defeated, but the tree does not apologize for shedding its weight. It does not force the leaves to stay, just to look beautiful for the passing strangers. It lets go, trusting the quiet wisdom of its own seasons. In your modern life, you are terrified to drop your leaves. You are terrified to step down from the prestigious role, to close the stressful chapter, or to walk away from the lifestyle that drains you. You fear that if you remove the heavy ornaments of your success, people will think you have failed. You twist yourself into knots, trying to explain your deep need for rest to people who are addicted to the hustle. You carry the unbearable weight of their expectations because you confuse their applause with actual love. Ask yourself, are you living your life, or are you just playing a character in someone else's story? What are you truly afraid will happen if you finally say no? Whose disappointment are you more afraid of, theirs, or the quiet, enduring disappointment of your own heart? Pause. Breathe. Let the guilt of stepping back wash over you without letting it control you. You do not have to explain your inner peace to a world that only understands noise. Do your part, then release the need to be understood. Because true freedom is not the ability to conquer the world, it is the courage to walk away from what the world demands of you. But once you clear away the heavy expectations of the crowd, you are left with a quiet, terrifying blank slate. And this is where the next truth begins. 8. Returning to the beginner's mind. What if the smartest thing you can do right now is admit that you know absolutely nothing? Here is a truth that goes against everything we have been taught. The person with the most answers is often the most trapped. Think about how you operate after a long period of success. You have become the expert. You know how to navigate your field, how to solve the problems, and how to carry the heavy responsibilities. Everyone looks to you for the right direction. So, when the deep emptiness suddenly arrives, you try to fix it the only way you know how. You try to strategize your way out of it. You try to apply your old formulas of hard work and rigid discipline to a crisis of the soul. but you feel completely paralyzed because the old tools are no longer working. You are terrified to pivot, to change your mind, or to follow a quiet, unproven desire, because doing so means you have to start over, and starting over feels like losing all your hard-earned value. You are entirely terrified of looking foolish. Buddhist wisdom offers a profound remedy for this exact paralysis. It is the concept of the beginner's mind. Buddhism teaches us that the ego, the part of you that knows, analyzes, and controls, is incredibly limited. When you believe you are an expert, your mind becomes narrow. You only see what you expect to see. You block out anything that challenges your established identity. But the beginner's mind is wide open. It holds no rigid expectations. It does not demand perfection or immediate success. It simply observes, learns, and experiences without judgment. In the beginner's mind, the world is vast and full of possibilities. In the expert's mind, the world is small, heavy, and tightly controlled. Imagine a beautifully crafted, very expensive teacup. Over the years, it has been filled to the absolute brim with old, stagnant water. A traveler comes along holding a pitcher of the purest, most refreshing spring water in the world. They try to pour the fresh water into the cup, but it immediately spills over the sides, making a mess. The cup cannot receive the new water, not because the cup is broken, but because it is already entirely full. To receive something new, something pure, the cup must first be completely emptied. In your daily life, your mind is that overflowing cup. You are full of your past successes, your rigid routines, and your deep-seated beliefs about who you have to be. When life offers you a fresh start, a quiet urge to create art, a desire to move to a new place, a calling to step into a simpler, less prestigious job, you reject it. You tell yourself it is impractical. You tell yourself you are not immediately good at it. You refuse to let the new water in because you are too busy aggressively guarding the old water of your past achievements. You have forgotten the pure, unburdened joy of simply being a student of life. Ask yourself, when was the last time you allowed yourself to be a true beginner? What are you preventing yourself from experiencing simply because you cannot guarantee you will be successful at it? Are you holding on to the expert's heavy crown? Even though it is hurting you, pause, breathe. Give yourself permission to not know the way forward. Stop demanding a perfect, flawless plan from your weary soul. Let yourself stumble beautifully into the unknown without needing to master it. Because true peace is not about always knowing the answer, it is about being deeply comfortable with the mystery. But embracing this mystery means you must finally stop fighting the reality of where you are. And this is where the final truth begins. 9. Letting life meet you where you are. What if the emptiness was never a punishment, but a homecoming? Here is the final, quiet truth. The moment the applause stopped, you thought you had lost your way. But in reality, it was the first time in years you were finally quiet enough to be found. Think back to the heavy burden you have been carrying. You climbed the mountain, you wore the heavy armor of your achievements. You drank the salt water of the crowd's expectations, and you guarded the overflowing cup of your own ego. You did everything the world asked of you, and it left you hollow. But now, you understand why. The hollowness was not a failure of your success. It was your own soul, refusing to be satisfied by things that were never meant to fill it. The emptiness was the clearing in the forest, waiting for you to step out of the shadows. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that true liberation is not found by constantly fleeing from the present moment. It is found by resting softly in the reality of what is. Non-attachment does not mean you cannot enjoy your success. It means you no longer rely on it to tell you that you exist. You let the praise come, and you let it go. Just like the clouds drifting across an endless sky, you realize that you are the vast sky, not the temporary weather. The storms of ambition, the bright days of victory, the quiet nights of uncertainty, they all pass through you, but they do not define you. Imagine returning home after a long, exhausting journey. You are carrying heavy bags filled with souvenirs, gold stones, and the rigid armor you wore to survive the wild. You step through your front door. The house is completely quiet. There is no crowd waiting to applaud your return. There is no one demanding to see your strength. For a moment, the silence is terrifying. But then, you slowly set the heavy bags down on the floor. You take off the armor. You breathe in the still air of your own home. You do not immediately start packing for the next trip. You do not try to entertain an invisible audience. You simply sit down in the quiet room, feeling the profound washing relief of finally resting in your own skin. This is where you are right now. You are standing in the quiet room. You have arrived. You do not need to rush back out into the cold just to prove you are still strong. You do not need to invent a new craving just because society expects you to always be hungry. You can allow the dust to settle. You can learn to trust the quiet, unforced desires that slowly rise from the stillness, the desire to create without an audience, to connect without an agenda, to simply exist without needing to earn your own breath. Ask yourself, can you forgive yourself for not knowing what comes next? Can you look at the beautiful open space of your life and finally call it peace? Pause, breathe, drop the heavy armor, release the desperate need to conquer the next chapter, stop reaching into the future, and let the present moment hold you exactly as you are. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.